Hello. Oops. Wait for a few more people to get in before I start this. I know it's probably a bad time, but I wanted to get this done, get some updates done because I've got to go to bed. Got one more day before Easter vacation starts. One more day of waking up at 6:30, 6 o'clock, however long I hit my snooze button for. So, come on in. If you'd hit the thumbs up for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Give me just 1 second. Hi, Doug. How you doing? Good to see you. Okay. So, first, I missed parts of that. There was the Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting, and apparently they're going to make Sheriff Nanos answer some questions.
Hey, what's up, all news for Tucson's?
Which I think that's something that we've all seen with this Nancy Guthrie case, is put aside the fact that we have a missing woman, but the sheriff, it's really brought a lot out about the sheriff and his failures to his community and his reputation, which is not good. So here, I'm going to play this. Watch this first.
Eric Fink here outside the Pima County Administration Building on this Tuesday afternoon, covering a Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting, and that meeting running quite long right now. The board right now still in executive session as we get close to 3 o'clock. At issue in that executive session and then expected to be taken up in the public meeting, a discussion about Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. Now, it was revealed by the Arizona Republic through their reporting that Nanos had lied on his resume.
And after we're done with this, we'll go on. I think Brian Enton gets a little bit more into it. But yeah, he lied on his resume. He's in a lot of trouble, I think.
All the way back. Now, the part that was uncovered was that he had lied about his work history when he was a police officer with the El Paso Police Department. Nanos actually resigned from that police department in lieu of being fired back in 1982, but the public resume showed that he had worked up through 1984 in El Paso before joining the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I asked Sheriff Nanos if he was going to be at the board meeting today. He simply says he wasn't invited.
That's probably not a good sign. You're not invited to your own stoning, basically.
Expected to hear from Supervisor Matt Hines coming up in just a little bit, so head on over to kvoa.com for more coverage. Also, some Pima County residents are gearing up to try to recall Sheriff Nanos. Daniel Gutierrez, the former GOP candidate in the Congressional District 7.
Wow. Although it's a huge county, and so far we've not heard one, at least I haven't, heard one citizen stand up and say, oh, give him a break, he's a great guy. I mean, so it might not be that hard for them to get that many signatures if they really work at it.
Race, Gutierrez lost to Adelita Grijalva in the special election last September. He is filing a recall petition, a petition to try to recall Nanos, and he needs more than 120,000 signatures in the next few months by July to try to get that recall effort on the ballot. So a lot going on here at the Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting. Stay with News 4 Tucson on KBOI.com for all the latest.
Oh, I bet you they can do it. I bet you. So let's see next. Now I am going to speed this up. I'm going to skip around, but
thank you so much for supporting me and my channel and for following along with all the stories that I cover. I'm still back home in Florida. This is actually our News Nation bureau, our little bureau down here in Florida, although I'm never really here. You guys know I'm always on the road. But it's been nice to be home for, I do have a couple of things that I'm working on. I think I'm going to be going back to Arizona soon. New leads and tips and information that I've been getting. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. In this episode, though, I'm going to be talking about the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos. And if you've been following along, there's been a lot of drama behind the scenes involving Sheriff Nanos and now the Board of Supervisors in Pima County, which is like the governing body over Pima County.
and Cross seems to be like he can be very persuasive. So
being very critical of the sheriff, having a meeting, which I'll get into in a second, and wanting to now question him under oath about some issues, which I will explain in great detail. And I've told you guys this before, but when I first got to Arizona, and I think I was there for like 42 or 43 days straight, I never went home. But when I got there initially, I started to realize very, very quickly that there were a lot of people who just outwardly did not like the sheriff. And I was like, wow, just, you know.
that's what I'm saying. I have not seen any real support for him through any of this.
I travel all over the country covering stories and crimes, and it just felt unusual that right away people were coming out of the woodwork telling me about issues that they had had with the sheriff in the past. And it was obviously a very contentious election, and he only won by 400 and something votes. And, you know, I take a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt because politics does get involved, and he's an elected sheriff. So I kind of went into it thinking, you know, maybe this is just politics. But the longer I was there, I realized that a lot of people had real concerns with the sheriff, and they had.
Well, and it is, we had gone over some of his discretions in some previous lives, and you know, it's been said he runs his police department like the mafia. When this Nancy Guthrie case came, he got very egotistical about it and kicked everybody out and just had himself and two senior investigators, and that was it. And I mean, anybody that watches any kind of crime shows, you don't even need training. If you know this was not handled from the start the correct way, and when we start hearing his history, it's pretty obvious that he doesn't care about the right things
for a long time. And some of this stuff was now just kind of bubbling into the national spotlight because of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. And I want to be fair to the sheriff. I mean, I've never, it's not my job to call out the sheriff and say what I think about him. You know, but I do think it's my job to talk to people who have these concerns, hear what they are, hear what they have to say about the Nancy Guthrie investigation, and then also try to talk to the sheriff. I had on the sheriff's former chief deputy, longtime friend. He was the sheriff's boss for decades. He was on my episode yesterday if you want to check it out. And, you know, had a lot of concerns that he shared. And I tried to get the sheriff's response to some of these things, but it's difficult. You know, he gave me an interview early on in the investigation, expressed some frustrations with me and my reporting and News Nation just because we had highlighted some of these concerns. And I've had a hard time getting an interview with him since. He has done, he's done interviews with NBC News. He seems to do interviews with some of the local stations.
He's been really picking and choosing whom he talks to, and that hasn't been lost on me either. Nobody that's really dug in and given him the hard questions.
But, you know, I guess the point I'm trying to make is I do want to be fair to Sheriff Nanos. And some of you haven't liked that I've said this, but I've said before, just my take on him with the Nancy Guthrie case in particular. Maybe he did make some mistakes, but I think overall his intentions are good, at least with that investigation. I mean, I think he genuinely wants to solve it and feels terrible for the Guthrie family. But there have been hiccups along the way. And again, I'm going to get into that in this episode. First of all, you know, and we've talked about this, the decision that was made to take down the crime scene very, very early on, which is kind of interesting because at a press conference.
Take it down, put it up, take it down, put it up, take it down. 3 times that crime scene was seized and released, I think it was.
He said that, you know, maybe he regretted that decision or could have done some things differently. But now he's basically, in any interviews that he's done, said he doesn't think he's made any mistakes and he wouldn't change anything. And he's happy with the way that him and his team have handled things. That's sort of been what he's been saying recently over the last week or so. So he's walked back some of the comments that he made early on about, regretting. I remember he said something about regretting maybe taking the crime scene down too soon, but now he's kind of just taking the stance that they haven't done really anything wrong and that he doesn't regret anything. But what's interesting is there's this effort now to recall him, where they're gathering signatures. They have to gather more than 100,000 signatures.
Which, by the way, I think that's kind of arrogant. I mean, it's obvious there was mistakes made, and to me, that's a bigger person that could say, you know what, maybe some things didn't go smoothly, whatever. Take a little accountability.
And it has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Basically, there are claims that he lied on his resume and lied under oath, or didn't disclose things under oath about his professional past. I mean, he's been at the Pima County Sheriff's Office for decades, but before that, he was at the El Paso Police Department, and there's a local reporter that unearthed his personnel file from decades ago and found that he had been in trouble and suspended and had issues there, a variety of issues, and that he was under oath about something else and asked about his past and whether there were any issues in his past in that way, and he said no, and that is the basis now for this recall, saying that he lied under oath and that he did not disclose these issues in his past when he first got his job at the Pima County Sheriff's Office. So
big no.
There's the recall that's ongoing, but this has also rose to the level of, it's gotten the attention of the Board of Supervisors, which again is the governing body over Pima County. And they talked about it at their meeting last night. That would have been Monday night. And Tuesday night, I'm getting my days mixed up. They went into executive session. They ultimately voted unanimously to continue to look into this issue and to try to talk to the sheriff under oath about some of these issues. And I'm going to have one of the supervisors on with me in a second in this episode to explain exactly what they did, what his concerns are. And he has some other concerns about the sheriff, in addition to things with the Nancy Guthrie investigation that are really interesting that he's going to explain coming up in a second. But first, I just wanted to play for you. There was a session, obviously, like every public meeting, where members of the public are able to come up and speak to the board. And there were many that spoke about the sheriff. And there was also the union president, Sergeant Cross, who you've seen me interview before on my show, who is a sergeant with the department right now, who spoke with, who you'll hear from him in a second. And they did another vote of no confidence for the sheriff, and it was unanimous. There's, I think, about 300 deputies in the union, and all of them voted that they do not have confidence.
Wow. 300 deputies. Unanimous. That's wow.
In Sheriff Nana. So I mean, just think about that for a second. Every single one, according to the sergeant, voted no confidence, which is quite a statement. And again, going back to politics and unions, I've covered stories where unions many times aren't happy with the boss. They're upset with the pay. There's issues here and there. But this does feel different. The fact that all of them voted no confidence, and I mean they're obviously trying to make a statement there. But I wanted you to listen to some of the people who were speaking during the public comment.
My name is.
I didn't get to listen to this, so I am interested in this. I saw like 20 seconds of, I think it was Cross speaking.
Laurie Moore, Sheriff Nanos, is currently in the process of being recalled. As a person helping to collect signatures, the mere mention of his name gets the clipboard snatched out of my hands, followed by, give me that, this guy has got to go. Most petition signers only know of Sheriff Nanos from the embarrassing reports on national news excoriating him nightly for a pattern of amateurish missteps in the gruesome disappearance of Pima County resident Nancy Guthrie. This does not bode well for the leading law enforcement officer in Pima County or the people who gave him that job. The sheriff's well-documented history with the El Paso Police Department should have never granted him employment in the Pima County correctional system, much less the climb to sheriff. The signs were there if anyone bothered to look. For example, there is a record of disciplinary action, including a multiple-day suspension for police brutality.
I'm Sergeant Aaron Cross, president of the Pima County Deputies Organization. As many know, a reporter recently uncovered the long-hidden, terrible record of Sheriff Chris Nanos from his time as an El Paso police officer. This includes purportedly beating a handcuffed suspect in the head with a flashlight, for which he was suspended and nearly indicted. This record, if properly disclosed, would have likely prevented him from being hired or from becoming a peace officer in the state of Arizona. For over 40 years, this has been concealed from the department and the voters of Pima County. Because of this scandal, our organization, the largest union of deputies in Pima County, has taken a vote. We asked our members a clear question: confidence in Sheriff Nanos to continue in office, or no confidence, and a call for his resignation. The verdict was unanimous: no confidence. He has lost the faith of his deputies and the community.
It's no secret the nation has eyes on Pima County. We have a sheriff who has numerous lawsuits, an FBI RICO investigation, deputy-on-deputy rape case, a pattern of placing campaign opponents on leave. He has created a hostile work environment where in many cases officers or deputies question or disagree his actions or decisions. Retaliatory actions such as duty reassignment in most egregious circumstances, demotion are sure to follow.
Chris Nanos is an international embarrassment at this point. And I know that you guys didn't hire him. We elected him, unfortunately. But long before the Nancy Guthrie investigation, this man lied about his record to get hired at the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Recently, he lied under oath And we know that he runs the sheriff's department with an iron fist, abusing his employees. We have one in the room today. Sergeant Aaron Cross has been absolutely abused by this man. Lieutenant Heather Lappin, who had the audacity to run against him for sheriff, was abused to the point that even though she was wildly well-educated and well-informed and so qualified for her job, that she fled to another police department where, frankly, they pay her better and treat her so much better. Women have been abused under this man. This county has been abused under this man.
So you can hear some of their concerns there at this meeting. Much of what was discussed about the sheriff was in executive session, which is behind closed doors, so we don't know what the supervisors were saying.
Sorry.
But I do want to play, after the meeting ended, I was able to get in touch with Dr. Matt Hines, who is one of the
Yes, I don't really think they're going to have trouble getting those signatures. He's not a liked person. I mean,
supervisors on the board, and kind of find out a little bit about what's been happening behind the scenes and some of the concerns that he has and that the other supervisors have about Sheriff Nanos. Listen to what he had to tell me. Dr. Hines, I was watching some of the meeting. Obviously, I couldn't see what happened in executive session, and we just became familiar with Sheriff Nanos, when we started covering the Nancy Guthrie story February 1st. So we don't know all the history, and there's clearly a lot of history with the sheriff.
There is some history for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you have concerns?
guys, anyone new here, just forgive me for, with fair use, I have to pause. We have to talk about this, so I know it gets annoying sometimes. I'm trying to pause in some good areas, but I've been wanting to hear what this guy had to say.
Specifically about the Guthrie investigation, does that play into all of this, or is it mainly other issues?
Honestly, it is a lot of issues. It's an accumulation of issues. The Guthrie investigation, because of its high-profile nature, certainly, reframed things and made people in all over the world and certainly all over the nation just kind of tune in and more aware of the sheriff.
Hey guys, I was in Arizona for almost a month and a half, and my eating habits, they were not great. There was so much good Mexican food, and I found myself eating late at night when I would get done with work. So now it's going to be a big piece like the new food and factor companies.
Was in response to a lot of press interest, of course, with this high-profile case. I'm not.
Although I probably should listen to how to eat healthier, but oh well, not tonight.
Used to having people hang on my every word and holding me accountable for the things that I say, which is not reassuring. And very much, I think, representative of so much of his career in Southern Arizona in law enforcement, especially in light of the information we just received about how he came over here from El Paso 42 years ago and withheld his very troubling work history. He would not have been able, he's frankly, and one of the questions I hope, we'll see what the lawyers recommend, but certainly a question I would like to ask him is, okay, so somebody with 5 years work history in El Paso with 8 suspensions, 37 days total of suspensions, who came to your department today, what would you hire them for, if at all?
Exactly. He never in a million years would have had the opportunities that he had if he had been honest.
I would love to know that answer, because the answer is he's not eligible with that kind of record for any employment in the county, not right now. And I suspect that had those been who were involved with the hiring process back in 1984, I think it was, known about that very troubling work history, he would never have been hired, and he certainly would never have been certified through the AZ Post. That's the peace officer group for state of Arizona. Every person in law enforcement has to be have AZ Post certification. Like I have to have, I have to be a licensed medical practitioner to see patients as a physician, and so on and so forth. So that's just what law enforcement.
Yes, I didn't get to watch it all. She's doing awesome coverage. She is mad, and she is going after the jugular, the JLR jugular. But I mean, she's always got the best documents. She's always got the police dispatch. Like she's one of the ones that I have really enjoyed watching on certain cases. The Sebastian Rogers case, she had all of the original. She's got it still, all the original police dispatch from the morning that he went missing, all of that, and it's really interesting to go back and listen. You forget things or things you missed. So she is like a gatekeeper of all knowledge.
Have to do in the state of Arizona, same thing with every other state. He wouldn't be able to qualify for that based on what we've learned, especially based on the fact that we just found out that he committed perjury, it appears, in a recent deposition. I can't remember the exact date, but it was in December of 2025. That's not 42 years ago. That is 3 months ago. And it's just unacceptable. It's tarnishing, and it really, you have to have honor and integrity, and you need to be held accountable for the things you do when you're in elective office, but especially when you are not only elected, but also the highest ranking law enforcement official in Pima County for the largest law enforcement agency in Southern Arizona. You have to be held to a much higher standard. So what I continue to be surprised by, I wasn't surprised nearly as much by the revelation that came from that Arizona Republic article about his work history as I was by the fact that it's been almost 2 weeks and we still haven't seen his letter of resignation, because that's the right thing to do.
But that just right there shows you the ego that he has. He doesn't seem to be very self-aware. Most people would be embarrassed if this came out.
So you mentioned that he was under oath, and was he asked about, have you had any previous suspensions? Is that what the question was?
Yes, that's right.
And he said no?
Correct. I will, if it's a little weird to do this on camera, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm pretty sure that's what I read.
Yes, that is. So here's the deposition. Okay, there's a deposition report, page 13. All right, so here we go. So going back, they were talking about a lot of his work history, coming from El Paso, all that stuff. And then there we go. Okay, prior experience. Okay. Have you ever received discipline as a law enforcement officer? Yes. What was the nature or extent of the discipline that you received? Primarily, it would have been like, I'm not a very good driver. Okay. So I had a lot of car accidents and, a letter for this or a documented verbal for that. Did you ever receive a discipline that rose to the level of suspension? No. That's from my deposition.
He was suspended several times, right?
8 times. He was suspended 8 times. And some of them, we don't even know what it was for.
Wow. 8 times? I just really can't stand the sheriff.
The meeting went very long. Executive session was 3.5 hours, so I truncated my public comments considerably, but I hit on kind of some of the highlights. But I had it ready to. I was going to read the entire disciplinary history, which is a little bit excessive, but
exactly. Let the FBI step in. Just be done with it.
Because it's like 2+ pages. Yes, so some of it's like abusive language, tardy, shot fired. That was suspension 1 day. I wonder what that was about. Brutality, that's troubling. More shots fired. Oh, that was okay. Failure to report for duty, 1 day, LWOP, a leave without pay, right? Off-duty conduct, threats, reprimand. Yeah, so it goes on. But violation of rules and regulations, suspension, 10 days. Doesn't say exactly what that violation was.
So it's 10-day suspension.
He had a 10-day suspension. He had multiple 1, 2, 3 day suspensions, usually for stuff like, and that whatever the leave without pay one. I'm sorry, I'm looking down a little bit because I'm reading it.
No, it's fine.
So yeah, civil suit against city. What? Okay. Yeah, so suspensions. So it's 37 days total of suspension time, and it was 8 occasions. This is over 5 years, and I've heard from so many people in law enforcement. They're apoplectic about this. You cannot retain this high office.
Well, but I have a question too. Is there any kind of is there any kind of database that they can check this stuff? I mean, maybe not back then, but I don't know. Gosh, it just references,
You can't get the respect of the 1,500 hardworking men and women of law enforcement, both on the correctional officer side of things that are helping to deal with the jail, and also on the force of deputies side of things as well. You can't be the head law enforcement officer when you yourself, at this point, he let his certification, that the peace officer certification, he let that lapse because you don't have to have it in the state of Arizona when you're an elected sheriff or a constable, which is weird because we give them guns and an automobile, 2 deadly weapons potentially. So it was 8 suspensions in a little over 5 years, and it is kind of unusual to have any suspension for most of our officers. So to have 8 in 5 years, this is a really troubling record. He was frankly a bad cop. I don't know what that 10-day one was for, as I mentioned, but I'm scrolling down more. Yeah, lots of dereliction of duty, tardiness, unnecessary force, and
dereliction of duty. Does it sound familiar? Excessive force. That doesn't surprise me when we heard about how he would bully some of his female officers and use senior female officers to do it, kind of not get his hands dirty.
Courtesy, whatever that. Okay, where is it? Excessive force. That one wasn't sustained. Habitual tardiness. Excessive force again. 15 days. And I went back and looked at it. In fact, I had someone send me the actual articles from El Paso's paper. That he used his flashlight to bludgeon a handcuffed suspect. So, right? I mean, he's subdued. He's handcuffed, right? And he beat the guy so severely about the head and neck that he went into the ICU, and it precipitated a civil lawsuit.
Oh, That's big stuff right there. That's brutality.
Against the police department. He was initially suspended
Excessive
indefinitely.
force.
And then once things got sort of adjudicated, he was allowed to come back. That was in March of 82. I was like 5. And then habitual tardiness. And then what's the next one? Oh, and then eventually the next page for July of 82, insubordination and consistent inefficiency, which is like kind of one of my new favorite phrases. He was forced to resign in lieu of termination. None of that came through. Yesterday, my public records request, which I put in about a week before.
They should have known that too. They should have known all of that. That, like I said, that should have been something that was. He lied, but that's. Yeah. I remember reading that too, the gag order.
Did come back with 177 pages, including his entire partially redacted personnel file, as well as the initial application that he put in for a correctional officer and for deputy. And in each of those instances, it asked specifically what was the nature of your separation from the El Paso Police Department. Of course, that's pretty typical. And his responses on neither of them reflected what actually we now know to be the case. He said personal reasons and to get a better paying job on the first one. I believe the second one was personal/divorce, and then to improve myself or to better myself or something to that effect.
And like, I understand. Like, employment laws, at least here in Michigan. Like, in Michigan, all you're supposed to be able to ask when you get references from a new employer is, did they work here from what dates to what dates? That's it. You're not allowed to ask about performance or anything like that. But, man, you think that when you've got a job where people's lives are in your hands, that there would be some policy about letting the next department know. I mean, sounds dangerous.
Nothing about, well, I had to leave because they were about to fire me. That wasn't in there. And I don't know if there was an oversight role lapse on our part as a county, because background checks were part of any application to become a correctional officer or a deputy at that time. I don't know why it didn't happen. Background checks are required to get AZ post certification, that peace officer certification I mentioned. So somewhere in that process, clearly he was not being fully open and honest or transparent about his history. And that is an unget-overable problem.
But again, why didn't they catch it?
Must hold law enforcement to an even higher standard, elected officials as well, and he's both of those things. And as I mentioned before, I'm Richard Nixon knew what to do, right? Like, I mean, he didn't put the country through an impeachment. He cannot, I believe, he's disqualified himself from retaining this position. So we'll see. I hope he does the right thing. I hope he doesn't make us, follow through with calling him before the board and having him testify under oath about these things, because he really should just hang it up.
So you're a Democrat, right?
I don't think he's going to. I don't see him as being that type of person. I see him as hanging on, and just like you did, basically either you resign or we fire you.
I am. And he's a Democrat too.
He's a Democrat. That's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, so this isn't, oftentimes with these kinds of things, it's like Republicans versus Democrats or vice versa.
No, I love this country. I took an oath to the Constitution, and I took for the United States and also for the state of Arizona. And I take that very seriously. And so did Chris Nanos. And that's why, look, man, you conspired with and used resources of your office to deprive your general election opponent, a Republican who I actually supported, of her First Amendment rights. He threatened her with her job. He intimidated her and silenced her. He decided there was a gag order. You have to go home, stay there from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for the last 3 weeks of the 2024 campaign. Heather Lappin lost by 481 votes.
That's not a huge margin in that county. When they say that county is as big as what Connecticut and Rhode Island put together, I can't remember how many residents are in there, but that's just dirty.
That was a photo finish. 500,000 people voted in that election, and he put his thumb on the scale, and he did so using the seal right behind me. He used the trust and authority that was placed on him by the people of Pima County. He used that and abused that trust and authority and resources of this county to I believe, to create, to corrupt a fair election. And
this is my question, and maybe it's because he's an elected official, but if he's found that all of this is true and that this is what he's done, it's factual, obviously that he lied about his record because he never would have been employed. How is that not just instant, you're gone? I mean, maybe it is because he's an elected official, but that's doesn't seem harsh enough.
I don't say that lightly. I mean, because I personally heard, I will say I did come out and endorse his opponent, Heather Lappin, in that particular election. And when I did that, I got multiple Republican friends and independents who said, oh gosh, I already sent in my ballot. And, we don't like the current sheriff. We don't like Nanos, but we saw some stuff that came out in the news that she was doing all this stuff that the sheriff said she was doing. So we didn't feel comfortable bubbling in Heather Lappin either. Okay, you don't need that. And I heard from maybe half a dozen people or so about that. When you lose by 480.
You know what, Doug? I did too. And I thought, okay, maybe he's just not used to a big case like this. Maybe, we talked about his brother passing away like the same day or the day after that this happened. But he's just an actor. He's just an actor. He's driving around in a fancy car and, I don't know. Like I said, I compare him to our sheriff a lot. And majorly smaller county than Pima County, but he's driving around in a hoodie that says police on it, jeans, and in a truck all day long. And he does work out. We have a hot sheriff, but still.
One votes that requires a recount. I mean, it's pretty easy to see that the voters did not have the truth, right? They didn't know about his withheld work history. They didn't know that he has been perpetrating a fraud upon the residents of Pima County for 42 years. That the first thing he did when he set foot in this county and was looking for work in Pima County was to mislead, misrepresent, and frankly, to just lie about his work history. And that is significant.
Do you think, you mentioned he should do the right thing in your words. Do you think that he would actually resign? Just because based on, I don't know him well at all. I never knew who he was before Nancy Guthrie, but just my experiences with him, he doesn't strike me as having that kind of a personality.
He's a very proud and stubborn man. And you're right. I don't know that he will do this. I just know that, I'm hearing from people every day. I don't have it with me, but I even got kind of a funny postcard about it. It's not funny at all, actually, excuse me. But that's a different way of communicating. Usually I don't get postcards asking me to do things. In this case, get rid of the sheriff. But email every day, according to my staff, phone calls, voicemails coming in saying what the heck is going on and why isn't the board doing something?
Yeah, I can only imagine. I don't understand why that wouldn't just be instant termination.
We have very limited authority. We're not the Congress. George Santos, that famous situation, the Congress actually was able to expel him. And I would love to be able to do that. We can't even censure him. I don't know why. It's very restrictive in terms of what the county supervisors can do. There's a narrow pathway to vacating the office if he doesn't respond. If the board votes on April 7th, which I suspect they will, in follow-up to our executive session and public item today, if the board does vote, in fact, to require the sheriff to either come in person and testify after being sworn in, hopefully that results in truthfulness, or he can...
Good to see you, girl.
Submit in writing, I guess notarized writing. He can swear in paper format too. If I were his lawyer, I'd probably do that one. But if he chooses not to respond to one of our questions about some of the duties of his office, then there is a provision in territorial era statute that would allow us to vacate the office after 10 days of lack of responsiveness. But it's a very narrow.
When you say vacate the office, you, as the board, could you throw him out as sheriff? Is that what you mean?
In that specific scenario, yes. He would either need to refuse to be sworn to testify or...
Well, I wonder, is he going to be so arrogant that he refuses and gets himself booted?
Refuse to provide a sworn written statement, or if he, for example, if I asked, or if we, the board, asked, can you please tell us about the nature of how did you come to be employed, and can you explain why you appear to have provided false testimony while sworn in a deposition in December? His response to the media here has been, it's a long time ago, and do you want my high school diploma and my high school transcript while you're at it? And he's dismissive.
Yes. Hey, maybe he didn't even graduate high school. Maybe that's why he's being so defensive. Obviously can't believe anything that he says.
And again, not really answering the questions. And I didn't lie. He was on the radio on Friday, the Buckmaster show, explaining how he didn't misrepresent his history in any way, shape, or form. Really? Okay, guy. So I don't know. But if he probably...
He's the king of cleanup. We've seen that. And it doesn't matter what he said the last interview or the interview before last. He literally pretends, says something brand new every time he talks. Nothing's ever connected. It's just word salad to get his face on TV.
I would say this would be not following your legal advice. If he ignores his lawyer and decides to blow us off and not bother either coming in after 10 days due to that specific law, it's ARS 11-253 if you care, if that would allow us to vacate the seat after 10 days of him not responding to us. Or if he shows up and just says, I refuse to answer. Or if he shows up and doesn't answer the question we ask, like he talks about his Corvette instead of responding to why he made, what he did with his work history, misrepresentation. That would be like, it might go to a court, but pretty clearly that would not be complying with the statute.
Yeah, and I was listening to you in the meeting. You mentioned a RICO investigation. You mentioned the high jail death rates. You were
For years.
reaching out to the attorney general at one point. I wanted to ask you specifically though, just because again, a lot of our followers.
Yeah, a RICO. That's like mob charges.
Are very invested in the Nancy Guthrie. Sorry, my light.
Sure.
The Nancy Guthrie case, and are frustrated by the lack of progress. I mean, do you think everything that you've said about the sheriff, all of your concerns about the sheriff, are playing into why we have not seen more progress?
I think, look, the entire 4-decade history of his presence here in Southern Arizona has.
Before he says anything, how can you not? When you see what an absolute lazy failure he's been. He's schemed, he's lied, he's cheated. But this time he's doing a good job? No. He screwed this up from the very beginning.
Been based on fraud. And so it is clear to me, listening just to the quote that we talked about before, I mean, like being surprised that people listen to their sheriff and want to hold him accountable. My goodness, it is clear to me that he is not capable or competent to lead in this office. He is more than tarnished. And that's not specific to any investigation. The most recent high-profile one certainly has been shining light on things. But for example, I mentioned the RICO, and I didn't spend as much time in public as I was intending to because the meeting was going so very long. But I mentioned that because there is actually a video of him back in 2015 or 16 just laying into the FBI, just this anti-FBI scream.
Yeah, I think we watched a clip of him talking about how oddly enough, he was kind of accusing the FBI of running their investigation the way that he does, where they don't tell anybody anything, where they accusing them of not putting them in the loop, all this other stuff, and he was angry. And now all of a sudden he's best friends with the FBI, according to him.
Because he was about to be indicted. The only reason he didn't get indicted was because the guy who knew where all the skeletons were buried, a gentleman by the name of Gagnapane, I know I can't spell that, he tragically committed suicide. And then the FBI or the U.S. attorney or whoever the prosecutors were decided to just drop it, though I suspect they had enough to indict him. So that's something that the voters did not like, because he had been appointed sheriff in 2015 and then lost his election in 2016. So when the voters are informed, they make, I think, the right decision, right? Which is very different than what happened in 2024, for sure.
And just my last thing from for outsiders looking in who don't know you, who don't know the politics of Tucson.
Sure.
And that's it too. That's not fair to the voters, because if they knew all of that, then their view of him would probably have been very, very different. And he probably wouldn't have been elected. And that's why he lied. And
you're very passionate about this. It sounds like this issue with the sheriff. I mean, have you had a beef with the sheriff for a long time? Is it personal in some way?
I'm highly allergic to incompetence and certainly to abuse of power, like we saw, I believe, in the election interference. And also, it's a Democrat. I mean, how in the world can Democrats say things about the president? Because he definitely does say some stuff about, doing things with elections and voter rolls that I don't care for. All of us, from Attorney General Mays right on down, are in lockstep saying, no, that's not okay. Elections are run by the 3,000 counties. Leave it. Fine. So we have a person in the sheriff who not only talked in some ways like the president talks, but did it. He did it. He effectively locked up his opponent, forced her to stay home, and then put out all sorts of false information about her using county resources and letterhead.
Yeah, it's election fraud. That's election tampering.
And this is a Republican that you're standing up for as a Democrat, right? I mean, when you talk about his opponent.
I would just say I'm standing up for the Constitution, and I'm standing up against a bully and someone who's abusing their authority. And
it doesn't matter what side she's running for. She deserves the same opportunities as he does. That's how allegedly fair government runs, right?
To back to the FBI for a second, because you were asking about any tie into Guthrie's investigation. The reason I mentioned that RICO situation and his very volatile response and angry screed about the FBI, it's not surprising to me. That's informed me a little bit. I kind of frankly that I didn't remember about the RICO thing. So once I was reminded about that and saw that video clip, I'm like, oh my gosh, this explains why he would never give the investigative lead role over to the FBI fully. This explains why he was trying to say to the press why he was sending lab, like, I don't know if it was DNA or what, he was sending stuff out for testing to some third-party lab.
Yeah, he snuck it out into that Florida lab. That's right.
The county has to pay for. And when asked by one of the media members, like, why would you not use the FBI? He said it was less expensive. But if the FBI is involved,
the FBI would have paid for it. And during that first press conference, that was one of the things that he was complaining about, was funding for equipment.
An investigation, it's free. So like he would not, and they won't say this because they're professionals and they're not political. The FBI has been so very frustrated, and so many law enforcement folks are reaching out to me to talk about the Nano situation. But and I talked to 2 agents who will not, of course, say anything publicly. But it's been difficult. It's been very difficult. And so, look, I don't. Whatever the reasons, I'm.
When we heard that from Brian Etchen, he said both sides, both the sheriff, deputies, and the FBI agents were telling him that he was not cooperating with anybody.
I don't believe he can continue in office.
Are the FBI agents still, because we heard that early on, we had sources early on saying that they weren't keeping the FBI in the loop and there was a lot of frustrations. I wasn't sure if maybe that had resolved. Are you still hearing that?
That is, and maybe some of that is retrospective just from like February, and now we're approaching the end of March.
This is one of the committee members of the county supervisors board. And, excuse me, they held a hearing the other day, and Nanos was, and his record was point of discussion. And he apparently lied and didn't give them his history from the previous county, which was quite extensive. What was it? 8 suspensions, and how many suspensions in 5 years? I can't remember. But sorry, I'm getting something delivered to me. Thank you. Okay. This guy is just, he's worse than we thought.
Also at this point,
And now they're calling on him to come in before the committee and answer questions, I believe publicly. And he has 10 days to respond, or they can vacate his position. But what is it? They have to get 120,000 signatures by July to recall him.
it's not the same level or intensity of investigation, tragically. Right. So we're at a different stage, as you know. So no, I haven't heard anything in the last few weeks about that. That was in the middle to end of February.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, Dr. Hines. I know you had a long day, so thank you for doing this. I appreciate Dr. Hines.
Okay, so that was that. Now let me find. Okay. Let's see. So am I sharing the right one? Oh, he does. I like listening to him talk. He definitely is. That's I highly recommend watching this full video because it is good. And on my oh no, I hate that. We missed you too. I'm glad you're back. We missed you too. Here, I'll play this. This is kind of a Cliff's Notes.
With the Nancy Guthrie investigation when it comes to the sheriff, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. So there was just this county supervisors meeting. So that's the government body over Pima County, where they voted unanimously to approve a plan to require the sheriff to report under oath about several issues. Now,
and this is what they questioned him for. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of the Cliff's Notes of it all.
Remember, these issues have come out about whether or not he lied about his resume and disciplinary issues he had at his previous job decades ago in El Paso. And there are accusations he lied under oath. So now they're going to try to call him into the supervisors meeting and ask him questions about this, it sounds. And there's also a recall effort that's underway to...
Well, I'm wondering, is he so egotistical? Will he actually answer questions? Will he dodge them? And I mean, if they know that what he's saying is not true, then what's the next step?
have a recall, where there could be a special election. Bottom line, though, there's a lot of people, it seems, in the county that want to throw out the sheriff. And there have been issues, I guess, for a while, but the Nancy Guthrie investigation seems to have sort of been the icing on the cake for a lot of the locals. The sheriff has maintained that, he's done nothing wrong.
That's exactly something I was thinking about too, is that they may not be able to find her, but something a little bit good is coming out of this, and that's that this crooked sheriff is getting shown for who he actually is, and how, I mean, that's just it. He needs to just resign, because it's kind of like the jig is up. Everybody's seen what you lied about. They saw your history. They saw, like I said, that flat out election tampering when he doesn't deserve to be there.
That he wouldn't change anything about the way he handled the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But it's just kind of interesting to watch some of these local politics play out. And I'm going to kind of keep an eye.
And how can he say that? Like I said before, at least have a little bit of accountability, saying, you know what, maybe we should have done some things different.
On it. Because, and what's also interesting is, the sheriff is a Democrat, and some of the people who really want him thrown out are also Democrats. So anyway, just wanted to give you the update because they just voted on that at the supervisors meeting. I've been watching it online. Hey guys.
Because he's not doing his job, flat out. I mean, oh really? Oh, outside the sheriff's department? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, the year 2027 or 2026, God, don't push it, really is, I think, going to be the year of exposure. Last year, we found out all of our celebrities are junk, everybody's been pee-diddled, all that stuff. Now this year is going to be government, whether it be federal, state, city, we're going to find out all of that stuff. I'm not sure. I am not sure, Morgan. Doug, do you know? Doug is super duper FBI Doug. That's his alter ego. Let me see. Oh, I did see this. This was... God, day 53. This is John DePietro. But this is, I guess, Annie and Cameron. There's no sound on this. But I guess they pulled in and they brought Nancy's car back. You guys can't see that, can you? There. Okay, can you see that? Here we go. Yeah, the John DePietro show. I like him. He cracked me up.
All right, Nancy Guthrie update. I think, again, we remain on the ground right here outside of her home, of which we have been here actually since the first week. But something worth noting is there's a lot of activity right now regarding the Pima County helicopters, their copter, and the border. And seemingly border trips a lot back and forth. And they don't fly here. They're flying right into the helipad where the FBI is
So I didn't know that. I missed that.
Headquartered right in Phoenix. So the copters keep going back and forth from the border to the FBI headquarters in Phoenix. What's that all about? You know, is it possible that some individuals south of the border came here and then abducted Nancy Guthrie from her home behind me and then escaped back over the border or near the border? It's highly unusual. I also want to point out the timeliness. That could be driven.
Well, and today I heard something about, the neighbor was talking about that service road again that goes behind, I think it was Nancy Grace had interviewed him, and it talks about like it goes behind, along the side and between the two properties and behind the two properties.
Could be driving from the border to Phoenix. Right now I'm standing, it's 90 minutes to the border, and it's about 90 minutes to Phoenix, but the urgency of using the helicopter back and forth. So I think that is something to watch as the search continues for Nancy Guthrie.
Let's see. Did someone pass? You mean like pass away? Okay, I am going to oh. Now we're going to switch gears. I've got some news snippets to watch. Let me see. I've got some testimony. Ooh, that's a little bit fast. He talks too fast. We gotta calm that down. Calm down. Calm down. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Testimony in the Christopher Preciado trial brought a noticeable shift.
I think we were talking about this the other day. 7 days ago. This is something that happened last week with some of the family members.
In pace, but not in intensity. Preciado is accused in the 2023 murder of Savannah Soto, Matthew Guerra, and their unborn son. Jurors spent much of the afternoon viewing dozens of crime scene photos, a moment that proved especially painful for the victim's family. KSAT 12's Erica Hernandez joins us now from outside that courtroom. And Erica, we understand the security inside has been increased. So why is that?
Yeah, Ernie, at times more than 10 deputies could be seen inside the courtroom. On average, there's only about 2 or 3 inside on a regular day or docket day. Court officials telling me this is all because
Oh, you didn't, Morgan. Not at all. Not at all. You're asking a question. You're all good, girl.
because they've had some issues in the past with some family members, as well as such the strict rules inside the 290th was the reasoning behind the increase on that security. Now, as far as testimony today, a lot of it had to do with the crime scene. The first witness that was on the stand today was crime scene investigator who photographed and processed the scene. Photos from inside the car of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra were shown, which was hard for family members to see and too graphic for us to show. But there was blood all over the front and back seats of the car. The investigator said, though, no fingerprints could be found, but one bullet was found in the back seat floorboard near Guerra. We also got a closer look at that baby car seat that was found on top of Soto. Now, Mitha Romanos has been in court this week in support of her son. Now, during the lunch break today, there was a hearing held on whether Ramon Preciado, Christopher's father, could be allowed to sit in during the trial, and the judge did grant that. So it'll be interesting moving forward to see if he does show up here in court. Now, testimony tomorrow is expected to pick back up around 10:30 a.m. Live at the Kenan Reeves Justice Center, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
In other news right now.
Okay. So this is all, I believe the next clips are from today. There's not a lot about this, which is kind of sad. Like I said, they're not allowing live streaming in the courtroom, probably because of just some of the things that, pictures and things like they're going to be showing, etc. But I know that when Ramon did come in to court, he was served with papers. So I've yet to hear what those were for, but it sounds like old Daddy-O is going to get charged too. And good, because he helped him.
Now today, the medical examiner has just taken the stand in the Christopher Preciado capital murder trial. Just minutes before, the jurors were shown surveillance video that shows jewelry from Matthew Guerra being...
That'll be a good interview. But yeah, it was self-defense, but he took some of Matthew's jewelry off of him. He had time to do that and then take it to the pawn shop for more money. Because see, remember when they said the other night when we were listening, when they said they found bloody money in the street? Yeah, he dropped the money that he stole. Idiot.
Pawned off. He was killed along with his pregnant partner, Savannah Soto, and her unborn child. Sue Kalberg has been listening in to testimony. She has the latest now. Sue?
Sarah, after 6 full days, the jury has seen and heard plenty of heartbreaking evidence, and today has been no exception.
Oh, I hope so. Because you can see in the video, that's what I forgot to do today. I'm sorry. I was stuck on the phone all afternoon, trying to do business calls and stuff like that. And just, I didn't have time for anything. But in the surveillance video the security video from the apartment building, his dad gets out because they start wiping down the car, but he gets out. He sees what's going on. The door is open. There's no way he didn't know.
The state presented evidence this morning that the couple and their baby died during a robbery that netted one man just $300. Jurors saw video from a pawn shop location on Bandera Road that featured an associate of Christopher Preciado selling 2 distinctive rings just days after the murder. Now, yesterday, jurors heard testimony indicating...
Exactly. Yeah.
Preciado gave that man the rings in exchange for car parts. Prosecutors presented evidence.
Well, and then wasn't the gun locked in a safe in their locked bedroom, the mom and the dad? So they helped him hide the weapon. I mean, come on. Like I said, I love my kid, but you do something like this, you're paying the piper.
Of Matthew Guerra wearing those exact same custom rings on many occasions. And the pawn shop manager said the man sold the rings that featured gold and diamonds and a ruby for $300 in a transaction that took just 5 minutes. Now, prosecutors warned the family members early on in the day that the medical examiner would be sharing graphic testimony that would be really hard to hear and see. And the family was told they might consider leaving the room.
Okay, now I've got this part, and then I have like a second part of what her testimony was. So just, I don't know what she says because I haven't gotten to watch this yet. I just kind of skipped through here and there. So trigger warning. She is the medical examiner, so she will be talking about medical examiner stuff.
when Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Kimberly Molina took the stand around 11, most of the family members stayed and most remained calm, although we have seen a couple of them out here in the hallway trying to regain their composure as really graphic photographs were played on the big screen today. Now, there is a judge's ruling that prohibits live streaming of this procedure, so we will continue to provide minute-to-minute updates on KENS5.com as the trial progresses. Live at the Justice Center, Sue Halberd, KENS 5.
Another big story today, the capital murder case against Christopher Preciado is close to being in the hands of the jury as both the prosecution and the defense have rested. During the new...
Oh, so this is what? Went for 8 days, I think. What did she say? So that's something that you guys said in here. You thought it was pretty cut and dry, it'd be wrapped up pretty soon. Yeah, I think so too, Doug. I think they're trying to take the capital punishment off the table because he was sitting in the back seat. And like when we watched the interrogation video, the physical way that he was showing that Matthew supposedly was pointing a pew at him was physically impossible. I mean, he almost couldn't complete the maneuver. Well, he couldn't. And it was just silly. It was just silly. And how in a million years he thought anybody would believe that, I have no idea.
An hour today, Judge Jennifer Pena sent the jury home for the day, telling them to return at 9:30 tomorrow morning for closing arguments. Now, Sue Kalberg has the details on what jurors heard just hours ago and what we're expecting moving forward from here. Sue?
Sarah, early this morning, all of the family members were warned that this was going to be a particularly difficult day because the last witness was Bexar County's chief medical examiner. Now, they promised that they would be sensitive with regard to displaying some of those graphic autopsy photos, but some of them did end up on the big screen in the courtroom. Now, we're not going to share the most graphic of those images, but there were close-up pictures of the wounds inflicted on the couple.
Okay, so anybody that's in here that's sensitive to anything like that, brace yourself, look away. Go get a beverage, go potty, maybe.
And the conditions of the bodies that had been abandoned in their car for days before they were discovered. Now, Dr. Kimberly Molina told jurors she couldn't make a 100% certain ruling on many elements of the deaths, like...
Well, exactly, because she was supposed to go in the 26th of December to get induced. She was overdue.
Was there a struggle in the car, and who fired those fatal shots? But she did say for sure that baby Fabian, who was 2 weeks overdue, was a full-term baby who died because his mother died.
So to become a medical, there's no congenital abnormalities for the child. There's no evidence of injuries to the child. So there's no other reason that we identified for the child to be dead other than mom died. And so when mom dies, that means she's no longer providing the oxygen and the nutrients to the baby that the baby needs. When babies aren't born yet, there is no cause or manner of death because you cannot die if you were never born.
That's sad. Oh, that's so sad.
Now, another witness that the jury heard from was the manager at a pawn shop who brought surveillance video of the man who pawned 2 very distinctive rings. Detectives
Hope this kid spends the rest of his life in prison, at least. Because this is just disgusting. He's a spoiled little brat. Spoiled little brat. That's all he was.
Had shared images of Matthew Guerra wearing those rings, and they shared social media messages from Preciado, who gave these rings to another man in a trade for car parts. Essentially, they said Preciado robbed Guerra And for what? $300. The pawn shop manager said in a transaction that lasted barely 5 minutes, the man walked out of the store with just $300. Now, family members had been warned to keep their emotions in check throughout the day, throughout the trial, and that's exactly what happened. Even though it was very difficult, it was very calm in the courtroom. Everyone returns, as you said, at 9:30 in the morning, so we will be continuing to cover through that. And then coming up at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk a little bit more about exactly how the day is going to go down tomorrow, starting at 9:30. At the Justice Center, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
It's right here.
Well, the capital murder trial for the man accused of killing a young couple.
Supposed to be about some deleted Instagram messages about them talking to each other beforehand.
Couple and their unborn baby continues. Christopher Preciado is accused of killing pregnant teen Savannah Soto and her boyfriend Matthew Guerra over a drug deal. Today, a homicide detective taking the stand testifying that he believes Preciado and Guerra were communicating on Instagram before the murders happened. Melissa Vega has been following this case. She has the latest from the live desk. Mel.
Christopher Preciado's social media, specifically his Instagram stories, have been a focal point this afternoon. The court listening to SAPD homicide detective Jeremy Goodwin walk the jury through what Preciado posted on his Instagram story, including a specific story that the prosecutor focused on. This is video. Detective Goodwin testifying that Preciado posted this story on his Instagram account.
Well, and I'd like to know, did he actually have the money to buy the smoke that he was trying to buy from him? And I know, and they might talk about this in a second, but I thought there were some pictures of Matthew, like the money pictures, something like that. And I always thought, did he see that too? And think opportunity. And so he's going to call him over there to rob him, because he's obviously not real smart. He wanted some smoke and $300, and he took 3 lives.
Account on December 27, 2023, just before 4 o'clock in the morning, the post saying we caught Blacko lacking like he was always strapped. What's the difference this time? Well, the prosecutor asking what this post was indicating to Detective Goodwin. So listen in as the detective describes a very pivotal point.
In his interview with me, that he had a weapon, and this Matthew Guerra had a weapon, and in this photo, it appears that he's saying that Matthew did not have a weapon.
Again, the detective testifying in open court showing Preciado's Instagram post saying that it appears that Christopher Preciado is saying that Matthew Guerra did not have a weapon. Very inconsistent from what Preciado told Detective Goodwin when he was questioned by him. Jonathan?
Yeah, so
prosecutors are stacking up evidence on day 6 of the capital murder trial of Christopher Preciado. Today, jurors saw social media messages and surveillance video tied to the days before and after the killings of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra. Sue Kalberg is tracking the testimony.
In a recorded conversation when he was arrested, the defendant told a homicide detective that he responded in self-defense when Matthew Guerra came after him with a gun. But today, the state tried to build a wall, one brick at a time, by sharing Preciado's behavior in the days before the murders.
Well, exactly. She was absolutely no threat. I mean, she probably took her 10 minutes to get out of the car. She was tiny and 9.5 months pregnant,
An SAPD detective showed the jury extensive social media messages between Preciado and others in the days before the crime. There were conversations about wanting car parts and other property, and Preciado said he would be coming into money later in the week. Then after the murders, there were new messages arranging meetups. There were other messages about getting jewelry appraised at a pawn shop.
Oh, that's premeditation right there. Ding, 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 Doug.
And trading it. And that jewelry, well, police say it was later recovered and it matched jewelry they say had been taken from Matthew.
He says, bro, can I throw collateral for the parts?
Can I just reiterate, what an absolute idiot. I mean, thank goodness he's an idiot because that's how he got caught, but wow.
Jason states, all right, bro, for sure. Just let me know. I can drop the parts tonight.
And then what does he ask the defendant?
He says, take a video or vid of them, bro, if you can. And then he states, whenever you can, G. I know one says 10K.
And then what does he say?
Then he states, but hard to see the other one since there's a big A ruby in the middle.
Now, the defense took over a couple of hours ago. Monica Guerrero noted there are no eyewitnesses, no DNA or fingerprints on a gun, and only the story from Christopher Preciado that says he was just looking to do a marijuana deal with Matthew Guerra. Now,
see, what had happened was I was just minding my own business. Oh, this kid makes me so angry.
Testimony wrapped up at 4:30. They will be back at it at 9:30 in the morning. And as always, we are doing moment-to-moment updates on KENS5.com with the testimony as it continues. At the Justice Center, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
Thanks, Sue. I think. Let's check some of the comments. Yeah, right here. And just like that, premeditation is proven. He wasn't buying smoke from Matthew, he was robbing him. The fact that detectives stated they found no smoke in the vehicle proves it was something else. And the IG messages between Christopher and Matthew mentioning the sum of $640 tells me maybe Matthew went to buy something from Christopher, because how else would Christopher know he was coming into cash by Friday? And how would Christopher know that he had a bunch of cash on him, or think that he was? Oh, this is it's some of the it's some of the trial updates in the case of Christopher Preciado. He 2 years ago shot Matthew Guerra and his pregnant girlfriend Savannah Soto. She was 9.5 months pregnant. Yeah, in San Antonio. And they were found on the 26th in a parking lot in their car. And Christopher and his dad helped him clean up and left them there for I thought family found them. Yes, family found them. Because Ikadmel was covering that whole story. And I was watching it because I was so, my little guy was really little at the time. So, you know, you get all in your feels when you got a little and you see something like that. And I mean, I know he definitely didn't have a, what do you want to say? A glowing record. He was rumored to, I've been talking about cleaning up his act, Matthew was, because they were getting ready to have a baby. And so part of me wonders, was he doing like a couple last ditch deals to make some money? And then that's not the way to do it, but these were young kids. And I don't know. There's just, it's sad to me though, because there's not a lot on it. And it sounds like they the jury was let go for the day, and both sides rested, so it sounds like they're going to get their instructions tomorrow most likely. And let's see, what's this? This is from 2 days ago. Jury hears testimony.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Isis Romero. We begin tonight with the capital murder trial of Christopher Preciado, where police say video evidence captured the moments as a double murder and its aftermath went down at the Preciado home in December of 2023. In court today, jurors saw the Preciado family in their driveway and listened to testimony claiming the family of Christopher Preciado worked together to conceal the murders of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra. Sue Kalberg has been watching the evidence and is live at the Justice Center. Sue?
Isis, the prosecutors say the video from the home shows lots of elements connected to this crime. First,
I wasn't sure. It's been so long. I watched all the I cannot remember the name of the streamer that was out there, but there was a streamer out there, and Ikadmel was streaming him and going over all the security cams footage, all that stuff. And this was one of those cases that was just like glued to.
First of all, there's video of the victim's car arriving at the Preciado home and then leaving. Then just a few minutes later, the victim's car pulls by again, and they say the elder Preciados leave the house to follow the car. And then they say Christopher's dad, Ramon, can be seen concealing a big bag of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to see is individual in a hood. Through other surveillance observed later, that individual's Murta. You'll see male in the back, open the back door and place a large black, what appears to be black, trash bag in the back seat.
Now, the judge let the jury go home for the evening just a few minutes ago. Judge Jennifer Pena has been keeping things moving along here. There is a ruling that prohibits us from streaming the proceedings.
Well, it's just normal instructions, but no, I will check tomorrow and make sure that as soon as I see something, or if we get any news about the jury, if I'm not able to go live, I'll try to at least do like a quick video or something. Because yeah, I really hope that that's all 2 days ago. Yeah, and see, there's like nothing that's they're not giving up to the minute coverage. Sorry. Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, it's where am I? There I am. Okay. That's just exactly it. Is he absolutely, the entire story that he told didn't even make sense. He's planning, he's talking about coming into money days before. There's a conversation about $640, which is a lot for, I mean, holy cow. He had to have been buying a large amount. And exactly, destroying evidence. And I remember that. Well, yeah, and that's it. If they're already getting instructions by tomorrow, that was what, like a week, 7-8 days about. So I think you're right. I think they're basically just trying to get him through so that he doesn't have the death penalty on the table, you know, okay, I did this because this is just, it seems pretty cut and dry. And he lied, and his dad lied. I'm interested in seeing what happens with the dad next. I know when his dad was in jail to begin with, he was, all he did was complain about the food. He's diabetic, and the food made him sick, and it was just like, and never once did they ever apologize for what their son had done. And I know that's guilt, whatever, minutes of guilt, but the whole thing is just sick. And I really do hope that kid never sees the light of day, because he doesn't deserve to. He said 3 lives for $300. That's just... I'm just going to do a zip through on X and see if there's anything that... what's this? Something
in the Nancy Guthrie case could finally point investigators toward the porch guy they have been chasing for weeks now. Locksmith Jonathan Davis was already arrested nearby a couple months prior and released right away.
Oh. Well, they'll probably be outraged if they did. And I'm not sure what I can't even remember what. I'm so tired right now. I can't remember what exactly they were charging him with.
And now he is still out on the prowl, raising fresh questions about whether he could be the one who slipped into 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie's home that night without leaving a trace of forced entry. So I'm Joseph Morris.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. That's something we're going to have to peek into. It kind of looks like... Let's see. And yes, I unsubscribed from JLR, but he still is showing up on my timeline. So apparently, once you're in, you're in. There's no going back. Yeah, capital murder. Oh, the track. But Sheriff Nanos wouldn't do anything differently, right? Right. I wasn't sharing that. I'm so sorry. Sheesh.
Got additional photos of the tracks outside Nancy Guthrie's home. Let's see the additional. There you go. There's one of them. Let's keep looking, and I want you to notice that's from Chillinois on X.
Exactly.
We've got several more. Keep looking.
And it was so sad. They live streamed Savannah and the baby's funeral. I couldn't watch. I just couldn't. But I guess it was really, really just heartbreaking.
That's the one we showed you last night. Now, very concerning how this scene was treated. How was the scene handled? When were these photos taken? When were the tracks left behind? Extremely significant.
Well, oh, can you guys hear that? That Nancy, can you hear Nancy Grace? Okay.
Had the pizza delivery guy come up there. I mean, had the
I'm still learning all the buttons, sorry.
gravel been disturbed? What about it, Joe Scott Morgan? This is your bailiwick.
Thank you.
Yeah, looking at these, Nancy, actually now, if you take a look at that larger kind of panoramic view of the tracks, you can actually appreciate that it's got what we refer to as kind of a curved or curvilinear pattern. And this is a bilinear track. So you've got two tracks that are running parallel to one another. And it's hard to judge from this angle. It's hard to judge depth. But what I can tell you, though, looking at this, and there's been a lot of speculation about this, is what we refer to in automotive terms when we're doing automotive work as far as investigations. It's got a wheelbase, very specific wheelbase. What can we deduce?
I'm probably wrong, but I thought they already figured out that that was from the garbage cans or these different tracks.
From that, well, we've heard any number of things. I've heard people say a wagon. Don't think it's a wagon. I think it's probably two-wheel. That could be a trash bin. I've heard a lot of chatter about that. And of course, what we mentioned yesterday, a wheelchair. Of course, if you think about a wheelchair, you've got two separate tires or
But that would be, you'd see the other two smaller tires, you know? Yeah, and it was so long ago, I had completely forgotten about it until it was like 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden I'm like thinking, I wonder whatever happened with that case. And so I just happened to type it in and boom, they were going to trial. I was like, oh, so I thought about it right at the right time. See, but wouldn't
you've actually got four, but they're on both sides. And so as you turn this thing, the radius of this thing is going to readjust. This looks like you're talking about two wheels at this point in time. So what could generate that? If they do the wheelbase assessment on this, and I hope that they did this at the time because these tracks have probably been eradicated now. If they did a measurement on this, that could put them in the neighborhood of what it was, what conveyance actually generated. And that could point back to something specific. Did they show up with these items in tow? That is a perpetrator, perhaps? Or is this something that was left behind as a result of dragging trash cans out the road? But here's the problem, and this has been one of the problems all the way along, Nancy, is that if they didn't do it in the beginning, there's a problem.
Yeah, now it's all gone. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I thought they should have parked in the road and you start your investigation if someone's missing from right there. You don't pull in the driveway, you don't. Because what if there is, evidence, tire tracks, footprints?
Because you can't go back and undo what you haven't done. It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that he has stated, he being the sheriff, that these are of no consequence. I beg to differ, sir. They are of significant consequence because
that just goes back to, again, his incompetence. We find his whole history is just craziness. He doesn't care. He just speaks. He speaks to get people to leave him alone, I think.
every bit of information that you can glean from the scene is important to the investigation.
Fitz.
Let's see. Well, this is that expert who we listened to before. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna tiptoe around that one. And thanks you guys for coming in. I needed a JLR break today. I just needed to chill. Watching videos night. Ooh, what's that? See, this is the stuff. This is why I don't actually go to sleep until like 4 a.m. Okay? It's stuff like this. Because I lay in bed and I start scrolling and I watch videos like this. Huh. I have seen that method, or like with those old coloring things that had the plastic piece that stuck up in between. You'd put the picture on the left side and the plastic on the right side, and then you could supposedly trace. I was never that good at that. Let's see. Oh, poor turtle. Oh, this is something right here. There was a post for a GoFundMe for billboards, and I don't have the picture on my computer that I can share, but according to the Pima County Sheriff, there is no GoFundMe, that they have a specific fund that pays for those billboards. So do not donate to any, don't donate to any GoFundMes, anything like that for billboards, because it's, yeah, total scam. Oliver. Okay. I'm tired, so you'll have to refresh my memory. Who is Oliver? That's Nancy's car. Oh yeah, she did go on the Today Show. Savannah did. I did see that. Still have the reward of $1 million. Information that helps locate Nancy Guthrie. You have relevant data about her whereabouts or recognize information linked to the case. You can submit your tip to the FBI at tipsfbi.gov. So, let's see. I like me a good Ashley.
And we will tear you limb from limb. I would say, motherfucker, we are going to find you. You can run, but you can't hide. But we are going to find you. And we will tear you limb from limb, so to speak, in our system of jurisprudence in America. We will fuck with you when we find you.
Ooh, see, she got new hair a couple weeks ago, and now you know what happens when you get new hair.
So yeah, live your life looking over your shoulder, because we will find you and we will absolutely bring the full force of Pima County and Arizona and the federal government down on your sorry, stinking ass.
Yeah, I remember.
That's the thing that I would say.
I
Not
can't
please
remember
drop
what
her
he
off,
looked-
let her
Oh.
go, take her to a
I'll have
clinic.
to look again. I can't remember.
And that's just me. But I'm not so sure that
I
this is the
replied
thing
back
that you
to
want to
you.
say to the perp.
I replied back, but I don't know. For whatever reason, Truth wasn't getting my replies back either. So I do not know what's wrong with that. I tried updating everything, and I think I need to clean the 147 billion pictures out of my phone. That might help it run a little smoother.
I don't think he's going to do it. I don't know. Call me nuts. It's day 52. So then something I would say, motherfucker.
Okay. Phew, Ashley. She's all up in her feels. Oh, how cute. My dog lies to us all the time about getting fed. See, Ashley Banfield shared. Oh, that is something. Did anyone hear on Ashley's latest podcast? She said that the mystery of where the blood was inside the house has been solved. It's inside that front, vestibule hallway area. So there must be kind of like a hallway that leads, from the front door in. So it was right in front of that front door, and that it's the same kind of pattern as is the pattern that's on the porch out here. And yeah, it was right inside that, and I thought she said, like I said, I'm tired, so don't trust me tonight. But I thought she said that was the only place where there was blood found. So that's interesting. And the expert that she had on talked about it being like gravity drips, that it wasn't expired, that it was just from, and they couldn't tell where it came from. But, she had that one wound on one of her arms that we always saw bandaged up. And, being with her health conditions, it would be really easy for her skin to tear, or, if they were rough with her. I don't know. I wonder. I don't think for how he handled the case, but they may be able to prosecute him for lying on his job application, something like that. He's definitely ruined his career. That's for sure. Yes, the skeleton blood splatter. That was interesting. That was really interesting. But, and that's also going to be interesting what goes on with Sheriff Nanos, because like I said, he's got 10 days to respond, to show up and answer these questions. If he doesn't respond within 10 days, or if he refuses to answer questions, then they can vacate his position. But if he shows up, answers questions, yada yada, I think is found to be untruthful, then they have till July to get, 120,000 signatures to get him out of there. So that's going to be really interesting how that plays out. And that's the thing, is that there's not a lot going on right now publicly with the Nancy Guthrie case. I mean, you've probably got whatever they do have behind the scenes. They're going through it. They're trying to figure it out. And then you've got all of us out here just throwing out 10,000 theories, and, We have all the way from, literally at this point, all the way from aliens to some people that believe that it's not even true, that it's fake, that it was done, to smoke and mirrors some of the political stuff that's going on right now. So oh, 120 days? Oh, I thought it was 120,000 signatures. See, I am tired. Who is in charge of me tonight, darn it? But no, that's what's going to happen with this too, is I think it's going to shift into this, political story with nanos. And $120,000. I mean, 120,000 signatures in 120 days. Okay. Yeah. Which I don't think will be a problem, because again, we have not heard one single person talk about, sing his praise. Not one single person. No one said, hey, I loved working for him, with him, beside him. No, nothing. I mean, his wife had to tell him that the family made a statement because she saw it on her Facebook. That's irresponsible. And I know you need to be able to go home at the end of the day from work. I get that. But there's just some things that you pay attention to. Oh, I hadn't heard about that. See, I have been out of the loop. All of my stuff has been just filled with all this JLR stuff. So I literally was just going searching today for stuff. Let's look that up too. Well, and then there was that name of that woman. Was that different? Shemek was her name, I think. That was the name that was put on those parking signs. They said it wasn't related to the Nancy Guthrie case, but she had gone missing. And then her body was found, I thought. Carol Shemek, yeah. But they still they deemed it natural causes. Her family believes that wasn't true because she was going up against somebody. Well, and that's it. If nobody's coming out to defend you, I mean, that's usually you've got some supporters, and I think they're just done. I think that's something that this case has really done. So yeah, I don't think he's going to get in any trouble for anything he's done on this case. He just has fumbled it. And because he fumbled it, and this is, I know there's a lot of controversy with streamers right now, but they did catch a lot of these boo-boos on live stream that, the news media didn't see. And so even though things are a little bumpy in the streamer world right now, thank goodness, because they really brought to light some of these injustices that the sheriff is committing, and the lies and the attitude, and it's not just people in Arizona seeing it now. it's literally the whole world seeing this bumbling sheriff that just really sounds like he just cares about being in charge versus really doing his job and fighting anybody that stands in his way. I mean, so I'm not impressed, and I really do hope that, I mean, like we talked about earlier, at this point, with all of this coming out, that he basically has absolutely zero business or qualification being in that position, that he just resigns. Oh, I was talking about that with a friend the other day. I said, it's scary right now. Because really and truly, we have no idea who's in this country right now. No idea. Oh, I think so too, Firewife. I absolutely think so. Because they're busting him. And they're seeing all of this. And I still don't think he's been to the crime scene. And that's something that I just started noticing. I started trying to pay attention to my local news and a lot of the, big stories. Like we have one right now that it was a county, or not a county over, but it's like on the other side of the county from me. And it was a house fire. And while they were putting out the fire, they kept hearing ammunition popping. And when they got inside, they found 2 people deceased. But once they got them out of there, they realized they both had gunshot wounds. And so, but our sheriff was there. As soon as they knew that there were people that had been trapped inside, our sheriff was there. And he was there all night, all the next day. And it just, he wasn't at the gym working out. He didn't go to any basketball games, nothing. I mean, he was there right along with his deputies, doing the work, organizing, being a leader. And at the same time, I believe it was last week, I'm going to have to look it up. I'll have to show you guys. He organized a group called Ghost in our area. And what they do is they go and they look for women and children that have been trafficked. And I believe last year they rescued something like over 130 women and children from these houses that are in Flint, usually. And they're just these nasty, abandoned houses, but in the basement they have, girls in there. And I mean, that's what a sheriff is supposed to do. Yeah, trap houses, exactly. And this guy is just, and this is something that's totally stupid, but for as much money as he makes, he's a really bad dresser. I mean, just make an effort if you're going to go on TV at least. Well, and that's it. These innocent kids, these young girls in there, and parents that don't care, or parents that were brought up in that system, and it's like, it happens. The sad thing is too, is it happens everywhere. But no, I thought that was pretty impressive when they started that program, because we really do have a lot of missing in our county. well, and our state, because I live in Michigan, and so we have, it's more up north because that's where a lot of the reservation land is, but we have a lot of missing indigenous women. And, unfortunately, they're not a group that a lot of people go hard for. And so it happens and they're never seen from again. And so he's running for governor. And so it will be interesting if he gets the position. If he can do something like that statewide, it would be awesome, because then it'd be a lot harder to get lost in Michigan. So let me see. Go. Oh. No drama, I'm good. I had my fill. Let's see. We will be hosting a friendly crime con in Florida this year. Can't afford the fancy badge, the hotel block, or the panel is hosted by someone from a streaming documentary. Come to the Budget Crime Con Florida, the discount true crime gathering with free parking. That's funny. That's cool if they're doing it. $15. Oh, this is a joke. Oh, this is kind of funny. Okay, I'm going to read this because this is kind of funny. For $15, attendees will enjoy a full day of chaotic Florida energy, including workshops like how to look suspicious in a gas station without actually doing anything illegal. Master the art of pacing near the beef jerky aisle while making everyone deeply uncomfortable. Advanced hoodie techniques in 93-degree weather. Oh. Okay, this is funny. Learn how to appear wildly out of place while sweating through poor decisions. Facebook Detective Certification Course. Turn 3 blurry screenshots, 1 unverified rumor, and a cousin's intuition into completely confident wrong conclusion. Complimentary amenities include 1 folding chair, a half bottle of warm water, the possibility of seeing an emotional support lizard in the parking lot. Platinum pass holders will be eligible for Nerdy's workshop, where he will teach you how to break into a car using only a broken spark plug. Dress code is courtroom casual. They are on, I don't have them on my computer. They're on that email is on my business phone. So, I will, let's see, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. Oh, tomorrow's Thursday. That means there's no school on Friday, which means I can stay up a little bit later tomorrow night. So, I will get them on my computer and then we can go over them tomorrow night. It will be, ouch. It'll be after, definitely after 9, maybe after 10, depending on what I have. Well, no, it'll be after 9 because my oldest doesn't have to go to bed early either because he doesn't have school. So, let's see. No regrets. Tattooing the banana. This is that Joseph Morris, and that is the one that was talking about this guy right here. That he was a locksmith that had worked the area. So Let's see. This is. Watch this real quick.
The Mexican border. At first, it was just Pima County flying their helicopter from Tucson to the border.
Oh, this is what John DePietro was saying earlier.
They would not go a drive-by at the Mexican border.
I disagree. That flight pattern looked to me like they were moving people.
Why did they need an aerial view?
Moving people. Okay, yeah, I can do that on my I can do that on my computer. Do the little cover up. I think we already listened to that one the other night. Ew, I hope that's AI. Ugh. No, thank you. Let's see. Oh, I know something. Just in case, something that I will play. I'm gonna find it. Where is it? Oh, I don't know. It must have been on one of my other accounts. I have no idea. I give up for the night. I think my brain is tired. My brain is tired. My body's tired. I love it, Doug. The more you guys talk in here, the more you help me out. So, no, I absolutely love it. I am going to go, though. I've got to crash so I can get up one last time for the week and get my oldest off to school at the crack of dawn. So, he's a teenager, so, we have to argue before he leaves. Because that's just... It wouldn't be a weekday morning without it. But you too, and thanks guys for coming in and watching. Because I'm sorry it was late. I know I promised that we'd go over any new stuff with those two things, so I wanted to get that in tonight, and today was just crazy. So, and like I said, I needed a break too from all the hullabaloo. So, ouch. So, all right. Well, I will be back sometime tomorrow evening. Like I said, I'll go over those things and try to make them public viewing friendly. So, on that note, everybody have a great, great night. Sweet dreams. And if you haven't yet, please hit that thumbs up for me. There's also a spot. I know you can only do it 3 times. You can only do it 3 videos once a week. But if you have a hype left, please click my hype and hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. I'm trying to build my channel, and you guys have been awesome. Thank you. So, on that note, I am going to head out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So, sweet dreams. Peace, love, and claws, y'all. Good night.